Some trailers hit you with nostalgia, others hit you with adrenaline. But every once in a while, a trailer drops that hits you with something else entirely, a familiar dread that creeps up your spine because you already know how devastating this world can be. That's exactly what I felt the moment I watched the first official teaser for Greenland 2, Migration. If you're here with me right now, don't go anywhere. Trust me, this one's going to stir up all the survival instincts you forgot the first movie awakened. And hey, while you're watching, drop a comment. I want to know if you think this sequel is heading in the right direction or walking straight into disaster. The original Greenland was a surprise hit back in 2020, a grounded, terrifying disaster thriller that followed the Garrity family racing toward a secret bunker in Greenland as a civilization-ending asteroid tore Earth apart. No superheroes, no cheesy one-liners, just a family trying to survive something they couldn't fight. The film made audiences everywhere grip their armrests, hold their breath, and imagine what they would do in the same situation. Now, Greenland 2, Migration picks up 5 years after that catastrophic impact, and the new trailer confirms one thing immediately: the world hasn't healed. Not even close. The teaser opens with sweeping shots of a broken Earth, violent storms, scorched landscapes, and ruins of cities that once defined civilization. And right in the middle of it all is John Garrity, played once again by Gerard Butler, still fighting for his family's future. He learns that somewhere in the south of France, there might be a region that survived the impact better than expected, a place where they might be able to rebuild their lives. So once again, he leads his family into the unknown. But here's the thing. As hopeful as that sounds, the trailer makes it painfully clear this journey will be brutal. Weather systems are unstable, infrastructure is destroyed, the world no longer behaves like the world we know, everything feels violent, unpredictable, and hostile. It's not just nature working against them, it's the lingering trauma of a globe that's been scarred beyond recognition. On the surface, this premise feels almost identical to the first film. Family, journey, danger. The cycle repeats. And yeah, I won't lie, there's a part of me that wishes the story would zoom out and show us humanity rebuilding, exploring new moral dilemmas, redefining civilization. 5 years after an extinction-level impact, there are so many fascinating directions to take that world. So when Migration puts the Garritys back on the road, running again, fighting again, some fans will definitely feel a hint of DJVU. But here's where things get interesting. The landscape is different. The stakes are different. The world is no longer dying, it's already dead. What remains is the aftermath. And visually, the film leans into this idea hard. The environments look harsher. The ruins look emptier. The mood feels more like a post-apocalyptic survival drama than a traditional disaster movie. If the film embraces that shift, we might actually get something fresh, a story less about escaping destruction and more about navigating what comes after. But to pull that off, Greenland 2 needs to evolve beyond the familiar. We already watched the Garrity family escape a planet-ending catastrophe. We don't need a repeat. What we need is exploration, depth, consequence, and maybe even a deeper look into who the Garritys have become after surviving the unimaginable. The trailer hints at some of this. We see John trying to adapt to this new, merciless world. We see small glimpses of people they meet along the way, some helpful, some threatening. The tone is grim, but not hopeless. And the biggest clue is this: the trailer repeatedly shows the Earth's chaos as a character in itself. Storms that appear without warning, climate patterns that behave like monsters, a planet trying to reset itself. That is a rich storytelling opportunity if the film chooses to commit to it. Still, we need to address the elephant in the room. By putting the Garritys back on a journey across hostile terrain, the sequel risks feeling repetitive. If you've seen Greenland, you know the beats: danger, escape, reunion, repeat. So the question becomes, is Migration going to expand on these characters or simply recycle the formula? If the sequel wants to succeed and possibly pave the way for a Greenland 3, it needs to push these characters into new emotional territory. Show us how trauma reshapes them. Show us how a parent protects their child in a world where society barely exists. Show us how survival evolves after the dust has settled. Because audiences have already formed a bond with these characters. Now they need to see that bond change, deepen, or break. The trailer certainly nails the atmosphere. Big budget destruction shots, High-intensity chase sequences, massive weather phenomena that look like they belong in a nightmare. It checks every visual box of a modern disaster sequel. But visuals alone won't carry this movie. Not anymore. Not with an audience this familiar with the genre. So here's the big takeaway: Greenland 2, Migration has the potential to become more than a disaster film. If it embraces the post-apocalyptic elements, if it digs into character psychology, if it dares to break the mold, it could become one of the strongest sequels of this decade. But if it plays it too safe, too familiar, audiences will feel it instantly. Still, as someone who appreciated the realism and emotional grit of the first movie, I'm cautiously optimistic. There's something intriguing about a world where the apocalypse already happened and now people have to live with the consequences. There's something compelling about watching the Garrities navigate that world. And there's something strangely inspiring about the idea that even after the world ends, people will still try to find a place to call home. And now I want to hear from you seriously. Drop a comment. Are you excited? Skeptical? Hoping for something totally different? Your take matters here because Migration is shaping up to be one of the biggest conversation starters of 2026. Greenland 2, Migration arrives in theaters January 2026, and you can bet we're going to be breaking down every update as it comes. Stick around because what's coming next, you don't want to miss it.